Hello everyone. Today I am going to talk about prohibited goods and aspect of customs clearance. Prohibited goods means any goods the import of which is subject to any prohibition under Customs Act 1962 or any other law for the time being in force, but does not include any such goods in respect of which the conditions subject to which the goods are permitted to be imported have been complied with. Section 11 of the Customs Act gives power to central government by notification in the official gazette prohibit either absolutely or subject to such conditions as laid down and may be specified in the notification. The import of goods of any specified description are prohibited. The purpose of such prohibition on import of goods may be following: the maintenance of the security of India, the maintenance of public order and standards of decency or morality, the prevention of smuggling, the prevention of shortage of goods of any description, the conservation of foreign exchange and the safeguarding of balance of payments, the prevention of injury to the economy of the country by the uncontrolled import of gold or silver, the prevention of surplus of any agricultural product or the product of fisheries, the maintenance of standards for the classification, grading or marketing of goods in international trade, the establishment of any industry, the prevention of serious injury to domestic production of goods of any description, the protection of human, animal or plant life or health, the protection of national treasure of artistic, historic or archaeological value, the conservation of exhaustible natural resources, the production of patents, trademarks, copyright, designs and geographical indications, the prevention of deceptive practices, the carrying on of foreign trade in any goods by the state or by a corporation owned or controlled by the state to the exclusion, complete or partial, of citizens of India, the fulfillment of obligations under the Charter of the United Nations for the maintenance of international peace and security, the implementation of any treaty, agreement or convention with any country, the compliance of imported goods with any laws which are applicable to similar goods produced or manufactured in India, the prevention of dissemination of documents containing any matter which is likely to prejudicially affect friendly relations with any foreign state or its derogatory to national prestige, the prevention of contravention of any law for the time being in force, or any other purpose conducive to the interest of the general public. Custom has also been entrusted with the responsibility to ensure compliance with prohibitions or restrictions imposed on the imported goods under the Foreign Trade Policy and other allied acts. The custom has a pivotal role to play because it is an agency stationed at the border to enforce the rules, regulations and orders issued by various administrative ministries. For instance, import of specified goods may be restricted or prohibited under other laws such as Environment Protection Act, Wildlife Act, Arms Act, etc. And these will apply to the penal provisions of the Customs Act 1962, rendering such goods liable to confiscation under Section 111D for import. Some of the goods are absolutely prohibited for import, whereas some goods can be imported against a license or subject to certain restrictions. One example I am quoting here: Notification number 44 RE 2000 1997 dated 24/11/2000, in terms of which all packaged products which are subject to provisions of the Standards of Weight and Measurement Rules 1997 when produced, packaged, sold in domestic market shall be subject to compliance of all the provisions of the Act rules when imported into India. Thus, all such packet commodities imported into India shall carry the name and address of the importer, net quantity in terms of standard unit of weight and measures, month and year of packing and maximum retail sale price including other taxes, local or otherwise. In case any of these conditions is not fulfilled, the import of packaged products shall be held as prohibited, rendering such goods liable to confiscation. Another example: products are required to comply with the mandatory Indian standards, and for this purpose, exporters of these products to India are required to register themselves with Bureau of Indian Standards. Non-fulfillment of the above requirements shall render such goods prohibited for import. Action on such goods and persons involved can be taken under the Customs Act 1962. For goods where there is a reason to believe that the goods being imported may contain prohibited items, samples are taken out of samples are taken out and sent to customs laboratories outside the laboratories for testing purposes. Such goods are cleared only after the test reports confirm that the goods do not contain any prohibited items. For example, textile or textile articles are tested for presence of hazardous azo dyes, whose handling, production, carriage or use is prohibited by the Government of India under the provisions of Section 6D2 of the Environment Protection Act 1986, rigged with the relevant rules framed thereunder. Goods that may contain hazardous wastes are tested since import of hazardous waste and substances containing or contaminated with such hazardous waste as specified in Schedule 8 of Hazardous and Other Waste Management Rule 2016. Chemicals are required to have certificate of analysis and safety data sheet to ensure that there are no prohibited goods in it. Relevant provisions of some allied international conventions which needs to be discussed for a brief, like the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Section 10 of this act gives power to central government to prohibit any drug or cosmetic. Some of the example contained drugs, cosmetic are not of standard quality, misbranded, adulterated or spurious, for which any license is prescribed, any patented or proprietary medicines containing any ingredient which may be rendered unsafe or harmful for use. Section 10A gives power to central government to prohibit import of drugs and cosmetics in public interest if their use is likely to involve any risk to human beings or animals, or the drugs does not have the therapeutic value claimed for it. The Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945. Rule 30 prohibits import of drugs after expiry of potency. Rule 30AA prohibits import of new homeopathic medicine which is not in accordance with the provisions and permissions in writing of the licensing authority. Rule 30B prohibits import of drugs manufactured, sale and distributed of which is prohibited in the country of origin. The Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act 1985. Section 8C prohibits imports of any narcotic drug or psychotropic substance into India except for medical or scientific purpose by the way of license, permit, authorization, and C in accordance with the terms and conditions of laid down. All manufactured drugs are also considered narcotic drugs under this Act. Food Safety and Standard Act 2016. Section 22 prohibits import of any novel food, genetically modified articles of food, organic food, foods for special dietary use, functional foods, nutraceuticals foods, health supplements, preparatory foods, save as otherwise provided that this Act and regulation made thereunder. Section 25 of this Act prohibits import of any unsafe or misbranded or substandard food or food containing extraneous matter, any article of food for the import of which a license is required under any act or rules or regulation except in accordance with the conditions of the license, any article of food in contravention of any other provision of this Act or any rule or regulation made thereunder on or any other act. There are many other rules in which goods are prohibited as per the laid down rules in those acts, like Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, Environment Act 1986, the Ozone Depleting Substances Rules 2000, E-Waste Management Rule 2022, Plastic Waste Management Rules 2022, the Bureau of Indian Standard Act 2016, Legal Meteorological Act 2019, Insecticides Act 1966, and many others. You may follow on the website. If you go to the website of Customs, you will find the link of various goods which fall under the category of prohibition due to certain acts laid down and applied into India. Thanks.